And I just finished doing a show, well, not finished, but completed, and hopefully will be touring. It sort of all stopped because of COVID. A show called Speaking Out and Fitting In, which was a piece in prose and verse. And it was all about the idea of finding voice and how we code through voice. Not just in terms of gender, but in terms of class. Our expectations of people can be built very heavily upon voice. And the idea of then moving that into another area of sung, where of course we have codings very much in terms of pitch, which is something I think Mia was talking about when we were having a little chat earlier.
I think it's very interesting how much of opera is based on caricatures, for example. So caricatures of women, so the hysterical soprano, for example, that is basically the main type of woman that you'll see, the soprano that loses her mind, which is how women are, or the heroic tenor, or the mezzo soprano who's a bit of a slut, for want of a better word, the promiscuous mezzo soprano, or the alto who's just an old lady or a witch. And I think it's funny, it's one of the things that I love with contemporary opera, so much is being done to change that, like with Glimmerings, for example.
Yeah, I think we said, me and Sam, who was the librettist, said from the start that we didn't want to particularly gender, because I think we talked about a lot of the same issues. You do, as soon as you pick a voice type, you have that tradition and kind of nasty history of a lot of those voice types to wade through. So, I mean, it's difficult because you can say as a composer, oh, I don't want to gender this role, but then you have a voice type singing it, and that does bring something to it. So it's not as simple as that. But I think the way we try to get around it, as you say, is so each character is sort of made up of 3 performers who are, so one is an instrumentalist, one is a singer, and one is a kind of spoken part, none of which are specified in gender. So the thought being, if you can have a sort of a mix within these 3 groups, and then that sort of takes away from that as the focus, and they just become a character, and you're more interested in their sort of psychology and thought process.
Yeah, I often wonder in opera whether we'll kind of move towards less codified versions of gender blind casting at the moment, because the trouser role is such a historic thing. And it's really interesting to hear about you, Dan, writing work with unspecified voice types, and I think that's happening more and more in sort of new music scenes.